Call the meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Welcome to the November 3rd Post Falls City Council meeting. Might be some of you folks here for a public hearing tonight, and that public hearing at the request of the applicant was canceled. So if, in fact, you are here for the River City Corner special use permit, that is not going to take place tonight. It was canceled. So if anybody's here for that, just want to let you know. Under ceremonies, announcements, appointments, we have a couple of announcements. City Hall and city business offices will be closed Tuesday, November 11th in observance of Veterans Day. Police, fire, and rescue services for emergencies may be reached by calling 911. The police department will remain open for walk-in emergencies. For water-related emergencies, please call 208-773-3517. Due to the holiday, the November Planning and Zoning Commission meeting will be held on Wednesday, November 12th at 5:30 p.m. And tomorrow is Election Day. Polls in Kootenai County will be open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. For voter and polling information, visit www.kcgov.us/elections. www.kcgov.us/elections. And we do have one action item tonight, and that would be the appointment of Parks and Recreation Director and approval of an employment contract. Warren, is there going to be any presentation on that? It was all in the packet. We just need a motion. Is that correct?
Move to confirm, or?
Yeah, just move to confirm, correct?
Yeah, I would.
And approve the contract.
I would move to confirm and approve the contract for the new appointment of the Parks and Recreation Director.
Second.
Motion second. Further discussion. Roll call, please.
Stigliter.
Aye.
Westland.
Aye.
Plou.
Aye.
Ziegler.
Aye.
Malloy.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Are there any amendments to the agenda tonight? We do not need an amendment for the cancellation of that public hearing?
No, because we already posted it.
Perfect.
And the agenda's been amended.
Thank you. Any declarations of conflict?
I would just like to say sorry for the hat. I had some melanoma taken off my scalp earlier this week, and it's kind of a horror show under there, so I figured I'd just spare you guys the...
I hope it doesn't affect your hairline.
No, almost not, at all.
If you're like me, it wouldn't. Would you please present the consent calendar?
So we have minutes. Item A is minutes from the October 21st, 2025 City Council meeting. Item B is payables October 22nd through November 5th, 2025. Item C is the August cash and investments report. Item D is Warren Field Playfield project funding agreement. Item E is the Pleasant View Annexation Development and Annexation Agreement Amendment, Addendum Number 1, ANNX-0006-2020. Item F is the Dorsey Consent to Annex Agreement. The item G is request to declare city assets and equipment as surplus. Item H is Harvest Meadows PUD MDA file number PUD-25-2 and SUBD-25-4. Item I is Linger Development and Annexation Agreement file number ANNX-24-11. Item J is Painted Rock Development Annexation Agreement file number ANNX-25-3. Item K is the Steckman Annexation Grant of Rights of Way and Easements file number ANNX-24-9. And item L is Elfers Annexation Grant of Rights of Way and Easements file number ANNX-24-10.
Any questions on the consent?
No.
I move to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Second.
Motion second. Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Ziegler.
Aye.
Westland.
Aye.
Plou.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Malloy.
Aye.
Stigliter.
Aye.
Thank you. Next up, public hearings, and it was canceled for tonight, so we have none. Unfinished business returning ordinances and resolutions. We have a few. The first is a water reclamation facility, solids handling improvements, procurement contract with BDP Industries. Really wish you'd get longer titles for me.
I just gave up on trying to make those short. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Andrew Arbini, Projects Division Manager for Public Works. This item this evening is a follow-up to a presentation I gave in September where the City Council declared BDP Industries as a sole source vendor. This recommendation this evening is council approval of the procurement contract with BDP Industries. This is for the purchase of an additional dewatering unit at the water reclamation facility. So the procurement of the dewatering equipment is one of several elements of the larger solids handling improvements project. To just make sure that I'm telling the entire story, I put together an outline for the presentation, and I'll go through some of that background. To summarize this first slide, I've talked on this before, but the solids treatment really refers to the last phase of treatment at the reclamation facility and really involves the removal of water from the wastewater coagulant or sludge. To do this, it's accomplished in two key processes, which is thickening and dewatering. This is an illustration of a dewatering press, very similar technology, very similar unit to what we're discussing about the BDP unit. Moving in a counterclockwise direction, so the sludge enters the gravity deck of the dewatering unit. Majority of the water at that point drains through a porous belt material. So all of the free water, most of the free water is removed. The sludge continues in that counterclockwise motion through a wedge zone where the sludge is squeezed between the two belts. That moves into a pressure zone, which is really just a serpentine of rollers. As the belt moves through that, it allows additional water to be removed from the solids, which results in a dewatered solid at the end. In this case, it would discharge to the solids storage hopper, which is hauled off by a third party. A little bit of background. Again, this is information that has been presented previously, but background on the project itself. This was originally identified in the facility study, which was updated in 2024. The design contract was commenced in July with JUB engineers, and then the declaration of BDP Industries at the September 16th City Council. Just a brief note on the sole source process itself. So that refers to a procurement process, a type of process allowed for under Idaho code. Under the code reference, the note in italics really highlights or summarizes the criteria of that code. So the following 4 bullet points is what the project team developed as consideration points and alignment to that, recognizing that there's an alignment to that criteria. So this really formed the basis of pursuing a sole source procurement route as opposed to competitively bidding the equipment. The solids project at this phase, or at this point, is really broken into 2 projects or 2 phases. This first phase prioritizes increasing redundancy of the dewatering at the facility. So currently there's a need to address that by purchasing this unit now, which has about a year to a year and 3-month lead time, allows us to get the unit on order. Takes about that long just to fabricate the unit. So that puts the unit on order, and then simultaneous with this process, but separate, the city is soliciting for a construction manager general contractor. So this is an alternative delivery method that we have identified for this project, capitalize on schedule. It also, a great benefit is it brings that contractor into the design phase early in the project so we get that collaboration. I will be presenting on this in more detail, so I'll provide greater in-depth detail and a process and specifically on how it relates to this project. I intend that to be a future council meeting. Once a CMGC is selected, this unit would be assigned to that CMGC for installation at a future date. These are a couple photos of the existing unit at the dewatering facility. The picture on the right illustrates where that unit will be installed. So the summary of this contract, the contract amount is $738,500. Staff is requesting a 5% contingency, bringing the total request to $775,425. A couple items of note: the engineer's estimate for this equipment was $937,500. Just for informational purposes, the project team did reach out to another vendor that provides similar equipment early in this process, just to as some additional data. And the preliminary number we received back was about $100,000 more than the purchase price with BDP. So that helped also inform part of this decision making in this process. This project is budgeted and funded through the Solids Handling Improvements Project. This is a table I presented back in July. We are about a 10% design, so not very far into the project. We have not updated these numbers at this point, but as we move through the design, we will gain more information, be able to inform these numbers. So as we move through the design phase over the next year to year and a half, these estimates will be updated. Brief look.
May I ask a question
Yes.
about the money? So these numbers are based on the previous facility plan, correct? And the fund that they're coming out of is the wastewater fund, which is funded through how we escalate our prices for our water treatment facility services through residents, right? So what happens when we come in $200,000 under budget, but we've been increasing the amount that we charge residents based on the estimates to have $900,000 in the bank to be able to buy this?
Sure.
Sorry, is that a reasonable question?
It's a great question, and I think I'm looking to my left and my right. I may ask John Beecham to answer that question.
Good evening, John Beecham, Public Works Director. It's a great question, and the shortest way I can answer it is when we true up that financial plan within the master plan, if there is an additional $200,000 on the books, we're able to use that for future projects. We're able to keep rate increases low or lower than they would have been otherwise. So there's not an immediate pathway where we true it up every time a budget comes in high or low, but over the 5-year planning time until we update that financial plan again, we will either accumulate a little bit more money or a little bit less money than the plan has. And that's our starting point for the next financial plan. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I'm just trying to rack my brain, sorry, while you're saying that, to think of a conversation or a presentation that we've had from your department about whether we're behind the 8 ball or whether we have more money and how that affects what we charge residents. I mean, I think that you gave us like 3 different options during a workshop for this year's budget, right? About how we were going to increase or not increase, was it wastewater and drinking water, or like clean water, whatever we call it. But that's, I don't know if I'm just curious when those conversations happen, because I don't feel like I remember it being offered in the last 2 budget seasons to not increase rates with the facilities plan. I think that's kind of what was always presented to us, and it was just like we just increase it with the plan. But I don't remember being told whether or not we were like over budget or like had more money or were behind the 8 ball.
So it's a tricky question to answer in terms of whether we're ahead or behind at this exact moment in time. These estimates that Andrew is presenting at this stage are plus or minus. They could be half that number and they could be double that number. That's
Sure.
the standard that we have.
And I
for the master
appreciate that
planning.
this is not what the presentation is about, and so I'm
enough.
really sorry, but I'm just looking at those numbers. So in the last budget cycle that we like approved a couple of months ago, last year, were we exactly on track the amount of money that we were supposed to spend, or had we spent more than we planned or less?
So last year, we were as close as we ever get
Oh,
because we
okay.
updated the financial master plan in early 2024, and then we went right into the budget season.
Gotcha. Okay,
So
okay.
that's as good as those numbers will ever be.
Okay.
As we get toward the end of that 5-year planning horizon, we will know if we are trending up or down from there.
Gotcha.
And we can provide that information with each budget season
Great.
from here on out.
Okay, that makes total sense then why I can't. That's why I'm trying to think of when maybe we've talked about this, but we wouldn't have if you're saying we just had it redone. So we're like just right at the beginning and haven't had any variations yet. So thank you so much, and thanks for allowing me to interrupt the presentation.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
thanks for
think the other question, it was a good question, but the other thing to bear in mind is, as we've all seen, we don't always come in under.
Right, yeah.
And sometimes we will come in, you'll come back and say, well, we budgeted X, but we need X plus 200,000. So, as long as they are on top of it and can keep us posted and keep us current as these numbers come in, I think it's an estimate, it's the best you
Sure,
can do.
we just don't
So-
ever talk about what happens to that extra money. So, thanks.
Thank you.
So this is my last slide, just a recap on the project schedule and where we are today. So following approval of the procurement contract tonight, where the next item of discussion will be the selection of a CMGC. So that, as I mentioned earlier, is currently out for advertisement, soliciting through an RFQ process, and anticipate that will come back to council at a future time. Overall project, estimate that project completion will occur in 2028. Again, very preliminary planning level estimate to this point, but this is intended to be a several-year project. So with that, I will stand for questions.
Andrew, we're a year out manufacturing of this piece of equipment. Do you have any concerns technology may change? I mean, we've got one, right? We're adding a second. But what is the likelihood that things could change just with technology? And if that were to occur, do you think that would have a big impact on us?
That is an excellent question, and I'm going to try really hard not to derail all of this and add more confusion. So our project one addresses redundancy concerns at the plant, and by adding the second unit, the existing unit was installed, I think previously I mentioned 2010, I think then I heard 2008, so around that time. So we've been operating this primary unit for 15 years. We have had great success with that. In making a decision whether to wait for the larger solids project, what we identify for design technology, or address the redundancy concern today by adding a second unit, a unit that we're familiar with. That's ultimately the route we pursued. Separate from that, the larger solids project will need to address capacity, so long-term capacity on a 20-year design. So as part of that evaluation, we are looking at different technologies. Belt filter press is one technology. There are centrifuges. There are other technologies that JUB is developing into a memo, and we anticipate that we will be evaluating that. So trying to get to your question, for the interim, we believe this is the best solution. It provides redundancy, and it is a unit that we are most familiar with. Okay. Long-term, for that capacity, that third dewatering unit that will be coming as part of the larger project, we'll make that determination based on recommendation from the design engineer, which technology we should actually be implementing.
Great, thank you. Any questions, Andrew?
I move to approve the water reclamation facility solids handling improvements procurement contract with BDP Industries.
Second.
Motion second, further discussion. Roll call, please.
Davis,
Aye.
Stigleader,
Aye.
Westland,
Aye.
Malloy,
Aye.
Blue,
Aye.
Ziegler.
Aye.
Motion passes, thank you. I just want to comment, John, Craig, Andrew, the whole staff, over the years, I can't remember when this project started, but I've planned for the future, and you've done a nice job. Read the article in the paper the other day about our friends to the north in Sandpoint, whose system is failing, and they have to go out for a $130 million bond. And if it's approved by the voters, their costs for wastewater will double if it's approved. If it's not approved, they're going to have to go to a judge for judicial confirmation, saying it's a necessary and ordinary expense. And if that happens, they anticipate their cost to go up 600%. So, I agree, and I know you're always watching out for the ratepayers, and I appreciate that. It's important. I'm just glad we're not in a situation, we have planned on this. We've said before, we had some big increases the first few years, 14%, 12.5%. They were painful. And now we're down to a sustainable level and reviewed on a frequent basis. But my comments are not a criticism of Sandpoint, but they have a system that has failed that they need $130 million for. We're in a situation now where we're completing phase 2, embarking on phase 3 to get everything up in line with what's being required by the regulators and by capacity. So, my compliments to you folks for sticking with it and getting us this far. It's a huge endeavor and it's a huge expense, but I think because of the proper planning, we're in pretty good shape. Next up, Quarry Sports Complex Land and Water Grant. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. Robbie Quinn, Parks Planner here this evening, seeking council's approval for the Quarry Sports Complex Land and Water Conservation Fund grant acceptance. Just some brief background on kind of where we're at and what we've done with this project. So it's been in the works for over 5 years now. Some of the tasks we've completed, the master plan on the site, which you see up here, plus all the area kind of whited out here. We've done the mass grading design on the project and the mass grading construction, the Cecil Road frontage design and construction, the irrigation well design and construction, and we have the current phase 1 to about 90% construction drawings at this point. Since then, over about a year ago, we received council approval to apply for this grant. A few months after that, we did a lot line adjustment. If you recall, there used to be a property line that ran right through where we're planning on installing, putting in this restroom building. So we moved that line. And then just most recently, last month, we received approval for the grant from the Idaho State Parks and Recreation and the National Park Service. So just kind of summarize what phase 1 will include. It will be 2 multi-purpose fields, a parking lot, the restroom concessions building, an entry plaza, and the maintenance yard. And we will have 2 add alternates for a playground and sports courts. So the total for all of that scope, not including the alternates, is about $5 million. However, not all of that needed to be included in the grant, so our grant portion is just over $2.7 million here. And that's because we were awarded a $1.25 million grant, which has a 50% match, hence why we didn't include the entire scope, because we didn't need to. And so what will be included in the Land and Water Conservation Fund grant scope is the earthwork, the parking and paving, the landscaping irrigation, and the sewer and stormwater. And the majority of the reason for that is this grant requires the BABA, Buy America, Build America requirements, so all products must be sourced from the United States. And these particular scope items are easy to do. Some of the more difficult ones are building materials, metal, electrical, mechanical, that sort of thing. And so we try to kind of pair our scope to what we know can meet these requirements. And so if approved this evening, kind of future schedule, the next couple months, we'll look at finishing up the construction drawings, put it out to bid January of 26, hopefully start construction in the March, April timeline, and then anticipate about a 10-month construction window. And I do want to say this is our 5th and largest Land and Water Conservation Fund grant that we've received, and it is the largest the state has awarded. And with that, I'll stand for any questions.
Questions, Robbie? I was just looking at Joe when you were talking. Said it's been 5 years. It's hard to believe.
Yeah.
We discussed that for a long time. So.
What is the little baby baseball like?
So that is a, not in this scope, obviously, but future project scope is a full synthetic ADA accessible mini baseball field. And so it'll be fenced with about a 20-foot fence around the whole thing, so for kind of wheelchair baseball. And will also second as kind of a warm-up area during tournaments and that sort of thing.
Interesting. Okay. Sorry, that was unrelated, and
No.
that was.
That was a good catch. I didn't
Sorry.
notice that.
Yeah.
Any questions?
I move to approve the Quarry Sports Complex LWCF grant acceptance.
Second.
Motion second. Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Stigliter,
Aye.
Westland,
Aye.
Malloy,
Aye.
Blue,
Aye.
Ziegler,
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Passes. Thank you. Next up, Quarry Sports Complex Phase 1 Design Agreement.
So I don't have a presentation for this one, but basically we're looking to approve a contract from Michael Terrell Landscape Architecture, who is our consultant on this project, to take our 90% drawings to 100% drawings, and it also includes the entire spec package and bidding assistance. So, you know, we didn't know when this grant would be approved, so we didn't fully complete our phase 1 because at the time, like I say, it could have been multiple years. Scope could have changed, building codes could have changed, so we kind of held it back at about 90%. But now that we have funding, we'll take it to the rest of the way. And then that will include the two different kind of bid packages. So we'll have the BABA portion or the grant portion and the regular portion. So that is two different bid schedules. So it's easy for us to track, easy for the contractor, and easy for our reimbursements. And then, as I mentioned, the bidding assistance. So they'll advertise the bid, answer any questions, and coordinate a pre-bid conference. And so that cost was $48,263, and we're also seeking approval for a $5,000 contingency for a total of $53,263.
Is that out of just regular parks, or are we paying for this with impact fees?
It's impact fees, sorry. And that will also be the phase 1 construction at a future date.
Any other questions?
I would move to approve the Quarry Sports Complex Phase 1 design agreement.
Second.
Motion second. Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Westland,
Aye.
Malloy,
Aye.
Blue,
Aye.
Ziegler,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Stigliter,
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Thanks, Robbie.
Thank you.
Next is the Steckman Annexation Ordinance.
I move to place the ordinance Steckman Annexation File Number ANNX-24-9 on its first only reading by title only while under suspension of the rules.
Second.
Motion second. Further discussion? Roll call.
Malloy,
Aye.
Blue,
Aye.
Ziegler,
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Stigliter,
Aye.
Westland,
Aye.
Motion passes. Mr. Harrington.
An ordinance of the City of Post Falls, a municipal corporation of the state of Idaho, annexing property consisting of approximately 6.96 acres located on west of North Spokane Street, midway between West Grange Avenue and Prairie Avenue, providing for amendment of the official zoning map and providing for an effective date hereof.
I move to approve the ordinance Steckman Annexation File Number ANNX-24-9 and to direct the clerk to assign the appropriate number and that it be published by summary only.
Second.
Motion second. Questions? Roll call, please.
Malloy,
Aye.
Blue,
Aye.
Ziegler,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Stigliter,
Aye.
Westland,
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next item up is the Elfers Annexation.
I move to place the ordinance Elfers Annexation File Number ANNX-24-10 on its first and only reading by title only while under suspension of the rules.
Second.
Motion second. Further discussion? Roll call.
Blue,
Aye.
Ziegler,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Stigliter,
Aye.
Westland,
Aye.
Malloy,
Aye.
Motion passes. Mr. Harrington.
An ordinance of the City of Post Falls, a municipal corporation of the state of Idaho, annexing property consisting of approximately 5.2 acres located at 3556 North Guy Road, providing for amendment of the official zoning map and providing for an effective date hereof.
I move to approve the ordinance Elfers Annexation File Number ANNX-24-10 and to direct the clerk to assign the appropriate number and that it be published by summary only.
Second.
Motion second. Further discussion? Shannon, please take the roll.
Blue,
Aye.
Ziegler,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Stigliter, Westland,
Aye.
Malloy,
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next item up, last item under action items is well number 4, rehab. Contract amendment number 1.
Good evening, Mayor, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Jackson Fleshman, Project Manager for the City of Post Falls Public Works Department, here tonight to present a contract amendment with JB Engineers for our Well 4 Rehabilitation project. It has been a little bit since you guys have seen this project. We awarded it to our contractor in December of '24, and the design contract with our consultant in October of '23. So refamiliarizing ourselves, the skate park where the red arrow is pointing is where our well site is co-located. It's kind of kitty corner to the post office on Greens Ferry for a landmark to reference. And like I said, I'll run through some of this a bit quick just because I know you guys have seen it. But our site is co-located within Millennium Skate Park, constructed in '74. Some of the bigger reasons we're doing this project is there was no on-site backup power, and the current pumping capacity is below design standards, design capacity. This project was identified in our 2018 master plan as an improvement project for those reasons. And reasons for the amendment. So there's a multitude of things that have happened over the course of a project, and specifically one of the ones I want to talk about is well testing and well storage. So as a part of this project, we decided to test the well to ensure it could still perform as we needed it to. And this is something we haven't done on our other well projects, so it was a newer task that we were trying to accomplish. One of the issues there was well storage. As you can see, our community swimming pool is out of chlorine, apparently. That's why it's so brown. Jokes, so water storage, that was one of the concerns and for our contractor. And some delays occurred there due to site limitations, and some of the design was not necessarily clear in well testing and what the requirements were there. Because of that, the well testing is crucial to what our equipment needs to be on site. So the pump, the MCC, the electrical equipment, that's all determined via the well testing. And because the well testing took longer, that made our equipment selection take longer, and those are already long lead items, so that's caused some delays, unfortunately. And then also just a general comment of kind of contractor support needs. Our projects are pretty technical at times, and there's more support needed than sometimes versus other times. I'm trying to think of a good example for you guys, but a contractor who's done multiple wells for us would have less questions, presumably, than someone who has not.
I'm sorry, who made the designs?
Absolutely.
For
JUB Engineers is our design consultant.
And they created the designs that were not clear for the water testing?
Yeah, maybe that wasn't the best way to illustrate that. I think the designs were clear. I think the process of what we actually required for the well test, specifically, I should say water storage, like the site limitations we had. To dive into some specifics, the way the water shoots out, it was causing the bank to erode, and that soil material wasn't great for that, so it was causing the hole to open up, and it was hard to see if the water was actually draining. And we needed a certain amount of time for the water to be discharging to get adequate data to help inform what equipment we needed. And so we had to do, I believe it was 3 separate tests because of that. I really shouldn't say a design. I don't think it's really on the design. I think it's the unfortunate situation of where we were testing and how we were testing, and this is one of our first experiences with it, so a learning experience for sure.
Ours in addition to JUB and in addition to the contractor? All 3 of us, it was all of our first experiences doing this?
We have not done well testing on any of our other well sites,
Okay,
to my knowledge,
okay.
for the sake of testing them for equipment, to establish what equipment is needed.
Okay,
Did that answer your question? I hope I did.
you can
Okay.
keep going, thanks.
Here's just a couple construction photos for you guys. So inside the well house, the photo on the left, bottom left, you can kind of see the wellhead. Photo on the right is a picture from the parking lot. So the request itself, so want to be very clear. The amendment from JEB is $92,600. We are requesting $10,000 from our management reserve fund, which was $20,000 and included in the original design and construction contract with JEB. So the total ask is for 102, just so that's, I want to make sure that's clear. So the total project cost, or the full cost for JEB's contract would be $465. That still includes $10,000 of management reserve to be approved if needed. So we still have $10,000 of management reserve after this request.
You'd bring that back?
If that's clear. If we were to use it, we would bring that back as a request. Or if it's within the Public Works Director's authorization and it's a reasonable, but that is also an option. Authorization for this would be under 50. So where are we at with the overall project budget? And hopefully I don't confuse things more, but I'm really glad budget got brought up because I have an entire slide to talk about it, so it's great. We'll start with WM Welch's, their actual contract. So we've had 5 change orders to date, and that's used approximately $46,000 of their contingency.
Sorry, are they the contractor?
This is the contractor.
Okay, thank you.
WM Welch is the contractor.
Perfect.
There is a consultant with a somewhat similar name. So the remaining contingency on the project is $122,000. With that contingency, the total contract for WM Welch, with that contingency, the total contract for WM Welch is $1,855,000 and change. That contingency would still have to be approved, though. Project budget. So this is the big thing. The overall project budget was $2.7 million. Awarded contracts with this JEB amendment is that 2.3 number, and this is where I might confuse people, and hopefully I don't. The remaining budget of 379 does not include the contingency, like that 122 number up top. That 122 would still have to be requested by council for approval if the contractor were to need it for something that happens. That 122 is included in the $2,320,663 number. So the remaining budget is 379, but there's 122,000 of that would still need to be approved. I don't know if that's
What would you anticipate that remaining budget going for?
like an example of what the contractor would need.
I mean, is it just for the contract for the build out, or?
I'm trying to think of a really good example that I need to knock on wood for it, like an equipment delay, maybe an equipment supplier goes out of business and we need a new one. There's anything really could potentially
If
happen.
everything went perfect.
If everything
we may
went
not need
perfect,
it.
that won't be used. Yeah, if
That
from
was my question.
today on, the rest of the project goes completely according to plan, that wouldn't be used.
Okay.
That 122 number would not be used.
Well, I mean, sure, right?
If things, yeah,
yeah.
and if hopefully, projects don't always go to plan, but we try our best to make them go to plan as much as we can. So,
How far are we delayed on this project because of
yes.
today?
The original contract completion date, I believe, was November 31st, and their current completion, I believe their substantial completion is January 26th with a final of February 26th.
And the final was November previously.
Yes, I believe so. I believe so. That could have been the substantial. So 3 months. And I wish I had that if it was substantial or final, but 2 at the minimum, 3 at the maximum is what it has been delayed.
I don't know how you're not going to get what you're asking for, but it seems odd to me, like the reasons that we're delayed and the reasons that we're paying an extra $100,000 seem like they were not something that maybe was the city's responsibility. If our contractors, this is our contractor, right? It's not like an internal. like department of the cities, right?
Yes,
And
WM
so
Welch is our contractor, yes.
They need more support, so we have to pay JUB $100,000 more because, like, the soil wasn't what we thought it was gonna be, even though we knew what the soil was, and the water. I mean, it. Like I said, I don't know that I have substantial cause to convince anyone else to say no, but this is not my favorite presentation, and not you, but like this is.
I take zero offense.
You know.
I completely understand where you're coming from, and that viewpoint of it, because I asked myself the same question. It's my understanding, and there's certain requirements we are beholden to follow throughout the course of the project, such as like maintaining an engineer of record and record drawings and those things. And so I think it is within our best interest. And then specifically because of the contractor support needs, that is something that I'd like to touch on delicately. It's in our best interest to help our contractor if they have questions or concerns or things, because ultimately I think we want the best product possible.
But we helping them is different than JUB helping them, and when JUB helps them,
Yep.
apparently it costs us $100,000.
And I wish, I maybe I'll take a step back too, and I didn't mention this in the presentation, so that doesn't help. The JUB contract was awarded in October of '23, and it included construction management services.
Okay.
Which to date, we don't do that anymore. We try not to include the construction management service contract with the design service contract, because the amount of design service that JUB estimated, put out there, they were going off of information from our previous well projects. And until the design is complete, their estimate will be less accurate. And without a contractor awarded, I think it's even more so less accurate. Because once the design's complete, they have a more fundamental understanding of what amount of service they will have to provide, knowing what those what those project components are.
And this is where the CMC.
This is a basic design bid build project.
Right, but
Yes.
the problem with the process that you're describing is why we now do contract manager, contract builder. Please help. Thank you. We have a different model now where we kind of have someone overlook all of it so that we don't do this.
Yes,
in this order. Yes.
Yes, it is a contract solution, I
Okay,
think, for specific contracts, and it works very well.
Okay.
I don't want to speak for the projects division as a whole and say every contract will be a CMGC, but
Gotcha.
I just.
Thank you. That's what I was looking for.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry, the last point I wanted to point out, in terms of the contractor, until our design consultant knows who the contractor is, that also will affect their estimate and level of service required. And so now I think it's been more typical for you guys to see us bring a contract award with a construction management services contract together to try and help bridge that gap.
Okay.
Did that help a little more?
Yeah, like I said.
You helped remind me a couple of my points that I missed in my
Yeah, sorry about
presentation.
that.
No, I appreciate it.
I think your point's valid. I mean, it's, maybe the engineering wasn't done properly, maybe something was missed and we get to pay for it. Yeah. So I think your
A
point's valid.
reoccurring theme,
Yeah.
I'm finding, yeah.
Well, I will certainly look into this further and continue managing.
John, you
to
want to
the
add
best.
something?
Yeah, thanks, John.
Just because I don't want this to get, I want to make sure this is stated clearly. I don't believe there was any improper engineering done.
Okay.
If that was the case, we would have a very different conversation before you. So
Okay.
there are lots of unknown in plans. I think what's happened here is we've stumbled into some of those unknowns. Like Jackson said, the contractors had quite a few questions, more than was anticipated in the original scope. But in terms of engineering being done properly, I want to be really clear, that's not what we're talking about here. There's gray in every set of plans. We stumbled into some of that grayness, but I just want to make sure that we're not saying the design work was faulty. If that is the case, there are ways to go back to the engineer, either have a conversation with them, or if they design something truly faulty and it doesn't work, there is insurance that they cover to carry that. That's not what we're talking about here. That's a completely separate matter.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just to clarify that, and I'm sorry to be so
In
very deliberate about it.
In essence, it's construction.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reality of it, is we have a project and we decide, well, we're only gonna have to go 2 feet down to get to good dirt, but no, we gotta go 8 feet down. There's a cost associated with that.
Correct, and good summary. Thanks for letting me pop up.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
I have a quick question
Yeah,
for you.
thank you to John for that.
Just to clear this up in my mind.
Yes,
So
yeah.
the awarded contracts with JUB amendment, the second
Yes.
to the last line, does that includes this amendment 1 for 92.6?
Yes.
Okay. So even if we were to not use any of the remaining contingency
Yes.
that
Correct.
is in place, we're still coming in, from what I can see, what is that, $250,000 under budget?
I should have done this differently because that exact question was brought up in my review of this. So I should have, I think, done the numbers differently. Even better answer for you, it will be more than $379. So if the $122,158.74 is not used at all, the project goes perfectly. The remaining budget will actually be the $379 plus the $122.
Oh, I see.
Because
Right.
it's unused.
Unused.
Yes.
That was a little confusing on which line
Yep.
was including it and which line wasn't. So thank you for
No,
clarifying
I will take that to the drawing board. We're always trying to get these presentations better for you guys. So.
Any other questions, Jackson?
Okay, in that case, I'll move to approve the well number 4 rehabilitation contract amendment number 1 with JUB Engineers.
Second.
Motion second. Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Ziegler,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Stigleader,
Aye.
Westland,
Aye.
Malloy,
Aye.
Blue.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Thanks, Jackson.
Thank you, Council.
Thanks, John. Next item up on the agenda is new business. Tonight we have none, followed by citizens' issues. And this section of the agenda is reserved for citizens wishing to address the council on a city-related item that is not on the agenda. Anyone wishing to speak, come forward. Seeing none. Administrative staff reports. Annual impact fee report.
Good evening, Mayor Jacobson, Council President Malloy, and members of City Council. So it's a little bit of a misnomer here, annual fiscal impact report when you see 2023 and 2024. So we had gotten a little bit behind the 8 ball a little bit on this and getting this before you annually. It is a requirement to do that, but through talking with legal in the past, this isn't, we've done this. We just need to make sure we're whole and we are clear to you guys as a council of where the revenues and expenses have been as we've been collecting impact fees for those years. As you see here, it's a state statute. I have it on there where it's cited that we need to do this and present this before the Impact Fee Review Board, which for us is the Planning and Zoning Commission. And then after we present to them, we bring that to you guys. It is to be used for, it's not to be used for any purpose other than system improvement costs and create additional improvements to service growth. You see here that they're required by local governments for new development for the purposes of providing new or expanded public capital facilities required to serve the community and new developments. And they're used to shift the cost of the financing of public facilities from the general taxpayers. They're collected on an 8-year, they're supposed to be collected and expended within an 8-year period in a FIFO, first in, first out basis. There is processes that you can expand and go beyond 8 years to 11 years, and it's cited there. So going into the history, the 5-year history, you can kind of see here, these are the impact fees collected in those given years, and it has the expenditures for those. And you can see over here on the right, that is the balances that have, on the balance sheet that we have for all those years, the remaining balances. For 2023, you can see here's a good example of there was about 4.1 collected, but the expense on capital projects was about close to 6.6 million. So we expended more than received. And that's a good way to get when you're doing the 8 years FIFO. it's a good way to actually tap into some previous year's collection to make sure we're not going beyond that 8 years. Looking at 2024, you see here that we collected about 5.3 and spent about 3.5 for that balance to be at 16. Now I'll go into some projects for those years, 2023 and 2024. So, let's see, missing a slide. I don't know where that one. So 2024's, you can see here that of the 1.6, the 3 million that was spent, the 1.67 that the big was the contracts professional. And with talking with Rob, that was for the Fennicus Prairie Roundabout. So typically it'd be a capital project, so you'd see a road project listed there, but because it was paid through contracts, reimbursing the contractor for constructing that, it was a reimbursement, so it was done via contracts. And then parks, you can see here their big expense was the 1.8 million for the Black Bay, with a nominal amount going to impact fee study for the police station there. So I'd stand for any questions you have for me.
Questions, John?
I have a question.
No.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're just like kind of racking up a little piggy bank of impact fees, right? We're at 16 million, is that what you said? Currently?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And we can only use it on certain things, but we also have the highest impact fees in the state, if I'm not mistaken. At least that's what we're told.
I don't know, I haven't seen an actual report of where we actually rate on the impact fee rate. I can say though that projects aren't getting any cheaper in time, and so when it comes to expensive road projects, we do bank those up for some time.
Okay.
And so if you wanted to talk about future projects, Rob Paulus is here, might be able to answer some of those, but we would probably tap into some of that.
Do we have enough projects that meet the requirements that have to be used for impact fees in the appropriate amount of time to utilize the money that we're collecting at potentially the highest rate in the city?
Yeah, I've discussed with Jason in the past, the finance director, about, are we expending these in the 8 years period of time as required? And from what the answer I have been told is we have. Today you've heard of some expenditures, even though it was a grant from Robbie with the Parks Department, and then you asked a question about impact fees, and then some of that's going to be used for that project too.
Yeah.
So I think the Parks has projects that they intend to expend some of these money on, as well as the transportation.
Okay, so we just use it on transportation and parks?
No, and
Public
police
safety.
station, public safety.
Okay. We collect it for a number of things though, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, parks, public safety, multimodal, transportation. And then we collect some, we don't account for it, but we do on behalf of Kootenai County Fire collect for them as well, and then we send that money out to them.
And that like total number, it doesn't include the amount of money that we're collecting for those entities, right? This is just our
for
money.
the city-related projects, correct.
Okay. At some point, I'd love to hear about the projects that we're planning to make sure that we utilize this in a timely manner.
Fair enough.
Thanks.
It's interesting on impact fees. When we first started them, anytime we would discuss them, we would get people showing up, contractors, for public hearings on them.
Oh.
We used to get a lot of comment. I haven't seen anyone here for the
I
last
don't know
several
how you
years.
keep track of it. I would have to have like just one piggy bank with just that year's, and it's like I have to spend these dollars in 8 years.
Well, and bear in mind, these numbers roll in from year to year, so
Yeah.
they're showing as a budget item when they're really not expended, but they're just rolling to the proper year. So the more you save, the more it rolls. The more you save and don't use, it rolls over the next year, which makes that whole budget number look up when it's not an expenditure.
Bigger than it is.
Yeah. So I think the budget
I
was
see Rob's on the
165.
edge of his seat over here wanting to answer what we're gonna spend money on.
We got two
Get up here,
guys.
Rob, get up here.
Rob can talk about how cheap the transportation master plan, the capital projects.
Yeah.
The crew will be.
Does a master plan budget qualify for impact fees?
Doing the transportation master plan does qualify and is the one we're updating right now is being paid for by impact fees. Because the decisions we make guide how we spend the dollars to cover the impacts of growth. In terms of transportation, where are we at? For the roads itself, there's about $7 million. $7 million does not build a heck of a lot of roadways or roadway projects. Traffic signals about $1 million, a roundabout, single lane roundabout's about $1 million. Multi-lane roundabout could be $2 to $3 million depending on what's going on. So we could expend that with just 2 or 3 projects really quickly. Right now, engineering, we are anticipating, based upon what we're seeing with the Transportation Master Plan update we're doing right now, that there's going to be needs in the near future for widening on Prairie Avenue from State Highway 41 to Greens Ferry Road. We are working on a project right now for expansion on Chase Road between the Union Pacific Railroad and Grange Avenue down in that area. We have a contract or an agreement with Post Falls Highway District that when Prairie Avenue is widened between Highway 41 and Meyer Road, that we are responsible for a portion of that. Just a forewarning, we anticipate we will probably come back to try to change that percentage where we will take on a larger portion because we've annexed in a lot of the land that when we first started that project was in the Highway District and is now in the city. So we do have projects going on, and there are a couple of traffic signals we are looking at getting started, and we're in this year's budget for us to start design work and be building in the near future. Does that answer just a real quick summation of what's going on with transportation?
Sure. Sounds like we can pay for
And
a
then
lot
on
of things.
multimodal, we have been spending dollars, and they aren't all reflected in there yet because it's 24 is the most recent. The Prairie Trail improvements have been paid for by that. We've also been spending impact fee dollars for multimodal with the Highway 41 I-90 interchange and the expansion of what we call the cycle track on that.
So you have no concerns that we're running into our time frame?
No,
Okay, great.
I have been keeping an eye on that over more than 20 years, and we have never come close to dollars falling off that 8-year mark.
Gotcha. Can I ask just a curiosity? I feel like there was a little tension there in the first one, and I really am just curiously asking you questions, so I hope you don't take it any other way. When we collect our impact fees, do we have just a parks impact fee and just a transportation impact fee, or is it all just one impact fee, like pot?
So for a residential project that comes in, or a home, when they pay their impact fee, it's the amount that they pay is split between each of the different areas. So
That's what I
there's a certain dollar value, which is based upon the number of trips that come from a residential home. That goes to roads. There's a portion that says based upon how many bicycle and pedestrian trips are anticipated from a typical house. That goes to multimodal, and then parks.
So this total number is split between like a number of different accounts that could be for parks or roads or public safety.
The developer gets one bill,
Yeah,
but it
so
includes
roads
all
has-
those calculations.
Well, I guess what I'm asking is you don't have access to the 16 million. Only a portion of that belongs.
I only have access to the $7.8 million that's under roads.
Perfect. That's my question. Okay, great. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Do we get to ask about how other people feel about their impact fees? I'm curious if public safety is getting what they need out of their impact fees.
Yeah, you can ask. We review it every year, I think. That's fine.
Hi, Jason Mueller, the interim chief. We are actually talking about upgrading the amount of those to reflect accurately what we need, because costs change when those were set. We have to review them frequently. So they're being reviewed. As you probably know, we bought the expansion of the property next to the police department for expansion. The parking lot will go in this springtime, and it's being designed out right now. We have to have the parking lot first before we can do the building expansion itself in order to have enough parking. And then hopefully in the near future, the building will get expanded, because we are, as designed when they built the building in 2003, that they anticipated a 20-year mark is they're going to need to expand it, and we're right on the money for that part. And we're definitely to the expansion part, but the cost of building is more expensive than what it was anticipated at the time. So those are always things we have to adjust
But
and look
those
at.
are all impact fee projects.
Yeah, well,
Okay,
that's,
great.
as long as you can fund them, yes, 100%. We have to build the building, so that's why we're looking at impact fees to make sure that can happen and cover that. The whole point of new growth covering its percentage, that's kind of the big part where you can get that back. So, but we can only use it, we can't use it for people and stuff like that.
And impact fees can't cure deficiencies.
100%.
Right, so circling back to your previous comment about how it makes our budget look
Mm-hmm.
artificially large, and then people see all of the things that we're doing in the city, and then we vote yes to increase taxes, I think it's important to tease out this money and where it's going and what projects it's actually going to fund, that it's not us increasing the budget that funds so many of these projects, it's the impact fees that do that.
I think this year that number was about, not just impact fees, but everything was about $84 million. I think Shelley's sent us a update.
Yeah.
And it was about 84 million out of the 165, so, yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
other projects too that come along. So as the city grows and gets bigger, and for us and law enforcement, looking at where do we need to expand, what do we need to do, like a training center, substations, things like that. And so identifying those and collecting impact fees for them, those are all on, in progress things to do. But
Same with parks.
Yeah.
Future parks, yeah.
for sure.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, thank
I
you.
do think that's a really good point, though, and especially in light of what you're mentioning about the issue that Sandpoint is facing. For the foresight to plan this out over the next 20-year horizon gives us the opportunity to bank this money against it to where we're not faced with floating a bond and paying interest on the bond and really not utilizing taxpayer money well on the interest part. So I do appreciate you, like you said, teasing that out so everyone's aware of what's going on.
Just to add one more speaker to this series, just as a reminder, we are in the process of updating the impact fees. We were scheduling out some workshops to meet with you as well as the Planning Commission, but we kind of held off and delayed that in anticipation of completing the Transportation Master Plan, because inside the Transportation Master Plan is a big, long list of projects, and they will take the place of the current list of projects. So we'll be back soon enough, and then that's when we do the update to different types of projects. The police department will be involved in that, so they can add their projects to the wish list that we want to collect for. So we'll be seeing you again on this topic not too long. So.
All right. Thanks, Bob. John, you have anything else? You good? Everybody else all right? Okay. Thanks, John. Next item up is the Drinking Water Division Annual Report.
Maybe. Go with that one. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. I'm Craig Bornpool, Utilities Manager for the city, and I'm going to provide you a report tonight on the last year's operations within the Water Division. We did talk last city council meeting about a master planning contract, and we awarded that. That's really that future-looking master planning effort. Really, tonight I'm just going to focus on some of the things that we've done over the last 12 months operating the water system. So starting off with some basics, we have 9 team members in the Water Division. We operate 10 active wells, and there are 4 water storage reservoirs. And that water is distributed through 128 miles of water line to our customers. This is a graph showing our average daily pumping, all wells included, throughout the year. And we operate, our water year actually matches the city's fiscal year, October 1st through the end of September. So this time frame is a good time to come in and talk about that last 12 months of our operations. And my hope is to use this graph and kind of highlight along the way some of our activities that we're doing, give you an idea of what we do throughout the year, utilizing this graph. So summing up all of that pumping throughout the year, the last year we pumped 2.35 billion gallons of water. So kick off with that fun takeaway number of just how much we're pumping, 2.35 billion gallons.
Hey, Craig, just a real quick question for my own curiosity. There are other water purveyors in the city. Ballpark, what percentage does the city pump? We're got to be over 50%, aren't we?
I would actually put us closer to 40 or 50%.
Okay.
Yeah, East Green Acres is a large portion and growing actually, and then Ross Point, smaller, Ross Point Water District, but still growing as well.
Okay, I didn't mean to derail you, but I saw that 2.35, and I'm just curious what portion of that was, or what our percentage was of the total.
So the 2.35 is just what the city pumped.
Right.
Okay, yeah,
Right.
want to make that clear. So kicking off in the fall, we do a chlorination of the system for about 30 days in the fall.
We do this when that pumping rate is going down rapidly, people are turning off their irrigation systems and doing winter blowouts. That poses a risk to the water system. So we take that time to inject about 0.2 parts per million chlorine into the system. For reference, the EPA allows up to 4 parts per million, so 0.2 parts per million is well below any maximum amount. We're fortunate to have that clean raft and prairie water that we don't need to chlorinate year-round, but we do, to protect the system, do about 30 days in the fall. We provide notice to people in their bill on Facebook as well, and some targeted notifications, so people are aware when that's coming up and can prepare. So this is a system that allows us to do this. It's a Myox is the name brand, and we have this at a lot of our wells. We can generate that chlorine using salt at each well and inject it right away. In the winter, when we're down at our lowest period, we're pumping about 2 million gallons per day. We take advantage of that where we do some maintenance on the wells, well houses. We don't need every well. In fact, we only need about 1 well per zone during then. So we can take a well house offline. This is the inside of one of our well houses. If there's mechanical or electrical maintenance that needs to be done, we can take it completely offline and get it done during that low use time frame. We'll also do generator maintenance. We have backup generators on most or all of our wells now. Jackson brought up well 4. One of the big reasons to rehab that was to add backup generation. So we do maintenance on the generators. And we've recently received quite a few questions about our emergency operations, how we operate in an extended power outage. And so I want to get that message out there that both on the water reclamation on our wastewater side and on the drinking water side, we have the backup generators. We can continue to operate in a long outage. As the flows really start to go up in the spring, when people are turning on their irrigation systems, we do backflow testing. So a backflow is an undesirable reversal of water that may go from one system's or one user's service connection back into the main system. We don't want that at all. So on commercial connections, residential connections for irrigation systems, we have backflow prevention assemblies. So we're tracking over 7,000 assemblies that we need that need to meet that annual testing requirement. So there's a lot of tracking that goes into that. Again, an activity to protect that system so we don't have that backflow. Once we get into summer irrigation, it's making sure everything is operating at tip-top shape, able to meet that increased irrigation demand. We go from pumping about 2 million gallons per day all the way up to over 14 million gallons per day, so 7 times the amount during irrigation. This past year, we had a bit of adventure, I'll call it. Right at the end of July, right near our peak, the motor on our well 8 well, we lost that motor. For those that don't know, well 8 is located in the northeast corner of the Chase Sports Complex. And there's an image of that well house there. So losing that motor during peak irrigation is less than ideal. Compounding the problem, as we already talked about tonight, we had well 4 offline, rehabilitating that and bringing that up to a modern standard. So we had 2 of our wells offline. That eats into some of our redundancy. Luckily, we didn't have to make major changes in operation. We were able to keep operating as normal with both of those wells offline, but we did want to get the message out. Well, I'll give you some of the basics. So we did isolate the issue to that motor. Luckily, there was a replacement in the northwest here, so we were able to get well 8 back up and operating again within about a week. Before we knew exactly what was wrong and how long it might take, we did issue a press release that we were having an issue with our well 8, and just reminded some of the citizens of the conservation measures that we have in code. There wasn't a request for drastic reduction of use or anything, just reminding the conservation measures of not watering between noon and 6 p.m. when it's inefficient, and trying to hit that alternating irrigation day. As I said, we got well 8 back up and going within a week, and we were back in operations, but did take the opportunity to remind people of conservation measures. And doing that also has benefits beyond just the wise use of that natural resource. So talking about bringing it back to that master planning, looking ahead, we're required to design to that peak usage. So anything that we can do to reduce that peak, if we're all using our water wisely, we may not need as large of storage tanks or as big of motors on our wells. So there may be capital savings just to, that wise use, another reason to promote it. So just some real basics there, but that's kind of what goes into reliably and safely providing that 2.35 billion gallons every year.
I have one question.
Yes, Council.
Why do we notify people when we're chlorinating the water?
There's a couple reasons. Different people may have different sensitivities to chlorine, and just want to be able to give them the opportunity if they want to talk to their healthcare provider of chlorine going in the water. Should I do anything special? Some of the commercial entities, based on how they're using their water, they need to take the chlorine out before it can be used. And then the medical providers as well. Very similarly, they want to take the chlorine out for some of their uses, so it's not going into into their system.
Thank you.
I was just going to say, because we get complaints, because we do. We do.
You know when they did it.
Yep. Any other questions, Craig? Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your time.
Mayor and council comments. I want to thank Acting Chief Mueller and I know Shelley and others, but a couple weeks ago I got a call, came across as a email, and it was from a concerned citizen, a lady who lives down by the skate park, and felt that there was some threatening activity by a group of youngsters. I think she identified them as 13-year-olds, and she was quite shook up. And so I think I checked my email, it was about 8:30 at night, 8:45. Anyway, I called her back. I think by the time I got a hold of her, it was like 10 minutes after 9 that night. She was surprised to get a call, number one. But number two, she called me back and left a message today thanking me, and it wasn't me, it was you folks. But I know that you responded immediately. Next day, I know steps were taken, and she just wanted to call and thank me today because she said the situation has been remedied, and this had been building, and you could tell by the agitation in her voice, which is why I called her, in the evening. But thank you, folks, for taking care of it. She called to express gratitude and said it was an issue that has been resolved. So, again, I know I reached out to Shelley, who probably reached out to Jason, and thank you all for getting that taken care of. That's right, Dave. I'm sorry. Yeah. So, thank you all for making that happen. That's good work. Council comments.
We're here on a Monday night instead of a Tuesday because there's an election tomorrow. So it's small, it's local, just reminding people to vote.
Real quick, again, shout out to the staff. I brought my kids here last Friday to do some trick-or-treating, get their Halloween started off, and they loved it. And so did I. It was fun. They really went all out, so thank all you guys for the hard work you put into that. It was really cool.
Can we ask, do you have the tally for who won? Which department? Weren't we?
Yeah.
There were voting cards.
They were voting.
Oh, okay. All right, great.
I'm sorry, but it had to go to the official judge, and yes, we won.
Oh, okay.
I was a little disheartened when I got there and they told me my disguise was scary. I wasn't wearing one, but that's all right. It was fun to see the kids. Anybody else? We do not need an executive session. Next motion is?
Go home.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.